So in the next example, we're going to use HTML file. How can you add HTML file? So we will use HTML file for the user interface. And if in every steps, okay, there will be 3 things that you need to do. First, you need to set up the views.py. Okay, you know already views.py. It is the file about the HTML. And then you need to set up where is the URL, and you need to set up the HTML. Okay, so those 3 are the main step whenever you create your Django environment. The views.py and urls.py can be located in the project folder or a new, or we call it the app folder. Okay. So if you create a project or an application, then you can create a folder with this folder. So before you start with this example, let's delete views.py in the parent folder. Okay. So just for convenience, I will delete this one because it will make some confusion. Okay. So if you want to use this one, okay, but I will just delete it. So when it is deleted, it will create some problems with the other parts, but no problem, delete anyway. Okay. So there will be issue. I will just close it for now. And I will just close it. Okay, I hope you understand how to handle errors. Okay. So if there's an error with the statement, you can just put the shop to make it as a comment. You can just put the shop as a comment. Okay. Or if you don't need this one, you can just remove it. That's also fine. Okay. Okay. So now let's create a new file folder. And I'm going to use Python package. And then the name, let's say let's make a new folder polls. And then I'm going to create a new file views.py in the folder polls. So I'm going to make a new folder polls, and then I will make a new file views.py in this folder. Okay. Let's create together. So I'm going to make a new folder polls because the folder polls is an app. Okay, I call it an app or a new application. So you can go to the parent folder. This one. This folder should be in the same location or in the same level as the first Django. So you can make it from the parent folder. You can click on the right button and then you can new Python package. Okay. So in the parent folder, first Django, you can click new and then Python package. And they will ask you what is the package name. So in my case, okay, let's make it just the same for all of you. Polls. Okay. Polls. And after you create the folder, you will see there's a new file init.py. So if you learn the computer programming, you will learn about the constructor. Okay, so this is the constructor of this folder. It will be blank, so don't mind with this one. No problem. And now let's create a new file. Let's create a new file named views.py inside the folder polls. So inside the folder polls, you can click on the polls and then right click and then new, and then you can choose Python file. Okay, and type the file name fuse.py. You can just type fuse and it will create a new file fuse.py. So I already gave you the code. You can copy and paste this one. Okay, copy and paste into the fuse.py. Okay, I will explain more about this code later. Okay, any problem? I think it's not that difficult. So this is about the fuse.py. Okay. Now I'm going to continue to the next part. It is about the urls.py. We call it fuse.py because we want to show it into the web. What we are going to show. In the urls.py, it means where I want to show. Okay. So I'm going to make a link or the URL. So you can make the urls.py in the folder polls. In the folder polls, you can make a new Python file. Okay. And the Python file name is urls. And if you already in the urls.py, then you can copy and paste the code that I gave to you. Okay. After I did the fuse.py, I create the urls.py. Now let's move to the next step, which is creating the HTML file. I'm going to create a new file, hello world.html, but this file will be in the folder templates. Okay. Let me make hello world, hello underbar world. As you can see, there is a folder templates here. Okay. In the folder templates, you can right click. You can right click and then click new. You can make HTML file. Okay. And you can type hello world. Hello underbar world. Just choose the file. They have options whether your file will be HTML5 or HTML4 or XHTML. Okay. So this basic HTML, I think you already know. It starts with the HTML and then it is ended with the HTML, and then we have head and then we have body. So it is the standard. Okay. And after you have this, let's copy and paste this one. Okay. I already created an HTML file for you. Just replace this one with the code that I give to you. Okay, I will explain to you more about this one. So if you finish with this tree, okay, that's the basic to manage your server. After this one, you still need to do one more thing. So this thing is how the server go to the folder pools. You just create the folder pools. It means this is your application. You can manage everything here, but how the main server or the central server can understand that we need to go to this part. So we need to update the urls.py in the parent folder. So you can see there is the urls in the parent folder. In this parent folder, let's create this updated code. Okay. I will just copy and paste. You can go to the urls in the parent folder, and then I will update this one. So in this case, I include one more statement. It is include. It means I would like to include the polls.urls. What is the meaning by polls.urls? If you go to the folder polls, you will see urls.py. And I will include this one for going to the URL polls. So if you go to the URLs, we know that the URLs is this one. I have the URLs path, and I'm going to access the folder polls, and I'm going to import views. In this case, I'm going to import this file views.py from the folder polls. From the folder polls, I'm going to import the views.py, and then it is the same with our example previously. So if nothing, okay, so if the URL is blank like this, let's run views.index. Let's create the name. Okay, I think we will learn more about this name in the next. Okay, for good practice, let's make the name. And as you know, we will connect to this index so I can know what is the index. So the index contains this one. Okay, we will discuss what is the meaning by that. So if you finish with all the setting, now let's go to the web. With this web, if you run this, then it will give you errors. What is the errors? Using the request method get and the request URL, it's UFS, okay, they cannot find the page. Page not found. So they will give you the recommendation. The URL conf defined in this first Django. Django tried this URL patterns. So there are two. The first is admin and the other is host. Okay. The current path its UFS did not match any of this because in the urls.py in the parent folder, you just define only two paths, admin and host. That's why they cannot find the HUFS. Okay. So if you also delete this one, then it's also error because they cannot find what is the index or the main of this website. So you need to put the polls. Okay, you need to put the polls so it will show you like this. Okay, any problem? Okay, now let's discuss what is the meaning by this code. Okay. In this code, the fuse.py, it is a common Python file, like name equals to HUFS. So we are going to assign a string into the variable name. And then what I'm going to do here is to get the template. Okay. So here I'm using template. In this case, it is the template given by Django, and I'm going to load. What I'm going to load is the HTML file, and the HTML file is hello world.html. Now the question is, how they know that this file is located in the templates? You can see here, C blah 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 blah, and then templates. This is because you have the settings, and this setting already set up in the folder templates. So this is the case when you create the first, okay, maybe the student have no folder template, because when you create the new project at the first time, okay, when you create this project at the first time, this one, templates folder, maybe you do not put anything here. So that's why there is no templates folder. But yeah, that's one possibility of the problem. Okay, that's why we need to have this templates folder. If you don't have this templates folder, you can create manual. So you can create this folder, and you can just put the HTML file in this folder. So that's why this is one of the important setting if you want to connect to your HTML file. And then I would like to make a kind of variable. So I'm not going to discuss the Python in detail, but this is dictionary. Okay, if you learn Python, you will know dictionary, and in the dictionary you will have key and value. So the key is name, and the value is this one. And then I'm going to put this dictionary into the context. This is a variable name context. So I'm going to render, okay? I'm going to render after I finish with this setting or with this information. I'm going to call the HTTP response. So I'm going to render this temp. Temp, it means this hello world.html. I'm going to render it with the information in the context. And then whenever I refresh or whenever I call the HTML file, it will show all this information. Okay. So this is the meaning by the backend. So you will set up everything in your backend before you show it in the front end. In the front end, you will need the HTML file. So in this case, we are going to print the hello world. You still remember H1? This is the header one. So the display will be the biggest one. And we check the TR. What is TR? Okay, so this is from the basic HTML. TR means the row when you create table. So I'm going to make one row, and then I have one column TD, and I have another column What is this column? So I'm going to use this two curly bracket. What is the meaning by this two curly bracket? We call this is the template tag. This is only valid when you use Django. So in the HTML, you cannot use this two curly bracket. When you use Django, you can use this one. So what is the purpose? The purpose of this one is to connect to the back end. What is the variable name? The variable name is from the here's.py here. I will call this name, and then this name will be the same with name. So what is name? In this case, it is the variable name that you define as top. Okay, that's why when you run this, you can see the name is top. Okay. Let's see. I change. Let me change this name. Okay. So if I want to change this name to school, so I need to change this variable name to school. Okay. So this name will be the same with the name that you're going to call in the HTML file. So this is the connector to the backend, and we are going to connect to the variable school that is already defined in the backend. Okay. So if you want to change this school, for example, Hanguk University of Foreign Studies. Okay. Then if you run back again, it will be updated according to the definition in your backend. Okay, so that's why I do not want to use the very complex design, because if you use the complex design, you cannot understand this basic concept. Okay. So the first time to learn this one is just using the very basic design. Okay. So here the tag, okay, we call it, this is the template tag with the two curly bracket. It is send the variable from the Python file to the web. And we have comment. Okay. Whenever we learn a programming language, we need to understand how we can give description. Okay. So this description with the curly bracket and sharp. So it means this is comment. And then it should be ended with the sharp and the curly bracket. You can describe what is your code, okay? And then you can give some comments to other programmers if you do something with the code. So just as in HTML or in a programming language such as Python, the Django template language allows for comments. And to design a comment, you can use this kind of thing. You can use the curly bracket and the sharp. The comment will not be output when the template is rendered. A comment cannot span multiple lines, so it's only one line. Okay. So this limitation improves the template parsing performance. So in the following template, the render output will look exactly the same as the template. That is, the comment tag will not be parsed as a comment. Okay. So in this case, because you have multiple comment, it will not be parsed as comment. This is wrong. Okay. Okay, that's the very basic one about how the parsing works between the backend and the front end. Now we will learn more complicated things in the template text. So what is template text? We know the HTML, it has also the HTML tag. Okay. So in the Django, we have the template tag. And the template tags are a way of telling Django that something else come more than plain HTML. So this template tag is available only in Django. So if you use another framework, for example, PHP, then they have their own language. If you use another framework like JSP, they have another language. So this template tag is available in Django. The template tags allow us to do some programming on the server before sending HTML to the client. So the template system ships with built-in tags. So we will learn the basic programming like if, else, and then for loop, and there's another kind of if equal. First, if else. We know that if is for the condition. You want to give condition whether it is true or false. The symbol will be like this one. You use the curly bracket and then use the percent. And then you will have if, and then you have the percent, and then closing curly bracket. This tag evaluates a variable, and if that variable is true, that is, it exists and it's not empty, and it is not a false Boolean value, the system will display everything between this if and if. In Python, I think it's easy when you define if, but in Django, you need to put an if. So when you have the if, you need to put an if. And in between the if, you can type any statement. For the else, it is optional. So if the condition is true, yeah, you can write some statement. If the condition is false, then you can go to the else. And you can write something like this one. If, else, and if. Let's see how we can create this one and we show it into the web. Now, I already explained to you there are three things you need to do. The first is you need to set up the backend part, which is the views.py. So let's add a function if else in the views.py in the folder pools. So I will copy this one and I will put it into the file views.py. So I will make a new function. Okay. The new function is if else. So the first function is index. The next function is if else. So I have three variables, var, var a, var b. This is to indicate the warranty, and then variable a, variable b, and then I'm going to use hello if.html. So let me create a new variable for the dictionary. So whenever the web call warranty, it will connect to the variable var. If it calls the var a, it will connect to this variable var a. If they call var b, then it will connect to this variable var b. Okay. That's the view.py. Next, we need to set up the URLs. The URLs means I'm going to set up the path, how we can run the code. So I will just give the second line. You can go to URLs. So there will be another path. You can set up any name. Okay. For this example, I just set up 2. It means if I give the link name with 2, so I will run the file views.py, and then I will run the function if else. So the function if else is this one. Whenever I write this if else or any name of the function, you need to put the parameter request. Okay? Because this request will be connected to the web. The name, you can set up any name. Okay. For now, let's just give this kind of name, because later we will learn about how to call this name. After we have the URLs, let's define the HTML. Okay. So add the hello if.html in the folder template and copy all codes in this one. So I will add the hello if.html. In this case, you already know, in the folder templates, you can create a new file and create HTML file. And then the name that I want to create is hello if. They will create a new file and they have this template. So I will just remove this one and I replace with the code that I gave in the PowerPoint. Okay. So after I set up this one, then let's run. Because this is the URL 2, so I'm going to refresh and I give the link 2. So it will show you the content that you have in your HTML file. Here, if else true. What does it mean? We have the head. Yeah. The head title is hello world if else. So I guess, yeah, the title is hello world if else. And then in the body, we have if else warranty. Okay, what is warranty? This one is from the backend. In the backend, warranty is the key and the value is the variable WARR. And the variable WARR is true. So we want to show this true value into the web. So this is the result, true value in the web. And then there is a condition. If warranty, okay, we know in the Boolean, okay, or if it should follow with condition whether it is true or false. this is true. And if it is true, you will print this one. Your warranty information will be included in the packaging. So you can see the result. Your warranty information will be included in the packaging. So if you change this, let's say I change this one to false, then you will not see the paragraph. Okay. And the remaining is just giving you the other sense about the if else. Okay. So when the warranty is false, then you will see no warranty of your product. So if I change to true, then your warranty information will be included in the packaging. And you can use the elif like in Python. If variable A is greater than variable B, you want to write down the variable A is greater than variable B, and you want to get the value from the backend. Elif, you will have another condition and you want to print this one. Else, you want to print this one. And at the end, you need to print the ending. Okay, okay, I think I need to stop.